Om Gam Ganapate Namaha. Kaliyugada Kalpataru, the fifth delight, Shri Raghavendra Guru Sarvabhouma. Chapter 21, Jatakarma and Naming Ceremony. When Timmannacharya's relatives, including his father-in-law, friends and well-wishers, learned about the joyous occasion of his son's birth, they arrived for the naming ceremony. Sri Vijayendra Tirtharu, upon hearing the news of the birth, sent Annayacharya, a close relative of Sri Sudhindra Tirtharu, with the blessings and sacred Falamantarakshita. The Acharya's house, adorned with fresh mango leaf decorations, resounded with auspicious music. Hundreds of people, including the town's dignitaries and men and women from the communities, gathered to celebrate. For the Jatakarma, that is birth ritual, and naming ceremony, Timmannacharya performed rituals including Punyavachana, that is purification, Nandi Shraddha, Navagraha Puja, and Agnimukha, following all traditional procedures. During the Jatakarma, he concluded the Jatakarma Homa by reciting the 8 sacred mantras beginning with Data Dhatuno. To complete the ritual for the child's well-being, he performed 58 offerings into the fire, reciting Chittam Cha Swaha, Chitraya Idam Namamama, and other mantras. As the offerings were made, the fire in the sacrificial altar rose with brilliant flames, almost symbolically declaring, in the realm of renunciation and asceticism, there will be no one equal to this child. Timmannacharya then performed the ritual by dipping a golden ring in honey and letting the baby taste it. This concluded the Jatakarma ritual, after which he distributed various grains as donations to Brahmins in abundance. Relatives and guests offered gifts to the parents of the newborn child. As the Sumangaris, that is married women, performed arati, scholars blessed the child and the family and chanted the Vedic mantra. Finally, Timmannacharya named his son Venkatanatha, inspired by the grace of Lord Venkatesha, from whose womb the child was born. He wished that his son, like Lord Venkatesha, revered by all from the eastern to the western horizon, from the Malaya mountain to Mount Meru, be universally worshipped and respected by people from all walks of life. With this hope, the child was named Venkatanatha. The scholars of Mimamsa, Vedanta, and other scriptures present at the naming ceremony expressed their interpretations of the appropriateness of naming the child Venkatanatha. One of the Mimamsa scholars remarked, just as specific attributes are assigned to sacrifices like the Jyotishtoma Yagna, the name Venkatanatha was chosen for the child to signify those qualities. Another added, even without explicitly stating the child's virtue, the name implies that such attributes already exist within him. A third scholar said, the divine qualities of the Supreme Being are also present in this child, and the name was chosen to illustrate this resemblance through analogy. However, another scholar countered, not all attributes need to match perfectly when drawing comparison. Only the relevant virtues present in the child has been considered, making him akin to Venkatesha, and thus the name is appropriate. A Vedanta scholar referred to the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 15, the living being is an eternal part of myself, as declared by Shri Krishna. This means that the living entity shares a partial likeness with the Supreme Being but is distinct. The scholars argued, this child is indeed a part of the Supreme Being and is a vessel of the Lord's complete presence. Hence, naming him Venkatanatha is justified. Another scholar referred to the Vedic verse, the son is a part of the father, to emphasize that the child is a reflection of his father. They explained, this name reflects the growth of virtues in the son, the fulfillment of worldly responsibilities, and the execution of the divine will of the Supreme Being. Thus, it is apt to name him Venkatanatha. Yet another scholar cited the Vedic instructions. The father names the child on the 11th day. The reason that the name was chosen to fulfill Lord Venkatesha's divine command. As per Lord Venkatesha's will, the name perfectly suits the child, they concluded. The scholars debated and deliberated, referencing texts like Angadangad and Mamai Vamsha, agreeing that the son is both a reflection of his father and a part of Supreme Being. Finally, they affirmed, since this is directly declared by Krishna himself, it is most appropriate to say that this child is a part of the Supreme Being. The name Venkatanatha was thus deemed suitable, and Timmannacharya was praised for the decision. Everyone present rejoiced upon hearing the scholars' arguments and deliberations. After the ceremony, Timmannacharya offered Phalapuja, that is fruit offerings, paid respects to the monastery and distributed betel leaves, arcanuts, and monetary gifts to all Brahmins and married women. He also arranged a feast of delicious food for everyone. The gathering celebrated the fortune of the Acharya and his wife and congratulated them on the birth of their illustrious son. In the Sri Raghavendra Vijaya, it highlights significant aspects about the naming of the child. It suggests that the poet Narayanacharya hints at Sri Raghavendra Swami as being an incarnation of the essence of Prahlada. This idea became evident upon deeper exploration of the context. The term Tadamshe indicate that, as expressed by the face, the living being, Jiva, is a part of the Supreme Being. This aligns with Lord Krishna's declaration in the Bhagavad Gita. Living beings being eternal are my fragmental parts. Krishna also states in the Vibhuti Yoga chapter, among the Daityas, I am Prahlada. These descriptions, combined with the poetic implication, strongly suggest that Sri Guru Raja is an incarnation of the divine attribute of Sri Prahlada. Timmannacharya named his son Venkatanatha. The name Venkatanatha, Prahlada, and the ascetic title Raghavendra shared a profound connection, as suggested by the poet's intention. Let us explore this further. The name Venkatesha, synonymous with Lord Srinivasa, originates from the name of the Venkata hill. According to the interpretation, the Venkata hill burns away sins due to its power to destroy them. Thus, the mountain is celebrated as Venkatachala. The lord of the sacred hill is referred to as Venkatesha or Venkatanatha. In the Aditya Purana, Lord Venkatesha is praised as Brahma and Rudra. This establishes that Lord Venkatesha, who removes sins and grants cherished desires, is aptly named for his qualities of joy and fulfillment. Since the child was born through Lord Venkatesha's boon, the scriptures' statements affirm that Venkatanatha is a part of the Supreme Being and an incarnation of Prahlada. Thus, our Venkatanatha too removes devotees' sins, grants them desires, and brings joys. This interpretation is mirrored in the name Prahlada, derived from the etymology, one who gives supreme joy. Prahlada's name signifies one who removes sin, grants cherished desires, and spreads happiness, making it equally meaningful. Similarly, the name Raghavendra conveys the same essence. Derived from, the name implies that Sri Raghavendra Swami removes sins, grants desires, and spreads joys, making the name highly significant. Thus, the names Venkatanatha, Prahlada, and Raghavendra all signifies the removal of sins, the granting of wishes, and the spreading of joy, reflecting the divine purpose and greatness of the child who would grow into Sri Raghavendra Swami. Thus, the words Venkatanatha, Prahlada, and Raghavendra, by their inherent potency, that is, Avyaka Shakti, and the abundance of meaning associated with their origin, are etymologically and semantically equivalent. Since Prahlada, like Lord Venkateshwara, is known for removing sins, granting cherished desires, and bringing joy, and because he incarnated as Venkatanatha and later as Raghavendra with the same qualities, the poet has indicated through the verse Ghattate that these names were appropriately given to him from the author. Day by day, Venkatanatha developed like the autumn moon, growing in brilliance. As a child, he brought immense joy to his parents with his natural playful behavior. Although Venkatanatha played like any other ordinary child, every one of his actions seemed to evoke philosophical and spiritual awareness. As Venkatanatha began crawling around the house, he appeared as if Dharma, that is righteousness, embodied in the form of the divine cow Kamadhenu, was moving around the house on four legs. Observers remarked, "Oh, Dharma itself, in the form of Kamadhenu, is roaming here." It was as though the child was hinting, I embodying complete Dharma. will bestow desires upon the people of the world in the future, just like Kamadhenu. One day the child placed his thumb in his mouth and began to suck on it. Onlookers marveled, saying, "The scriptures declare that the Supreme Being resides within the heart of a jiva, as the size of a grain of rice, and within their physical form as the size of a thumb. By placing his red coral-like thumb into his lotus-like mouth, the child seems to be teaching us the Vedantic truth that the Supreme Being within his heart is the size of a grain of rice, and within his form is the size of a thumb." Gradually, the child began to take his first steps. As he toddled, he would stumble, fall, and rise again, as is typical of children. Observing this, people remarked, "Perhaps this child is already practicing bowing and prostrating to the lotus feet of Lord Lakshmikanta, that is Vishnu." They praised him in wonder. When Venkatanatha was playing in the outer courtyard of the house, he would often fall and get up, covering himself in the dust of the earth. Seeing this, people felt as if Prakriti, the primordial nature that forms the essence of the world and is influenced by the Supreme Being, has become manifest and visible through the child's form. Hari Om. Om Sri Krishnarpanamastu.